Imagine spending your entire life being told that you're just special. Teachers see something in you, parents brag about you to their friends, and your peers kind of look up to you. Every report card, every award, every little achievement becomes this undeniable proof that you are destined for something truly extraordinary. And hey, at first, it feels like an absolute blessing. But years later, a lot of those exact same people find themselves lying awake at night, just staring at the ceiling, feeling like complete and utter failures. And the crazy part? It's not because they've failed. It's actually because they've succeeded. And somehow, it literally still doesn't feel like enough. So in today's Explainer, we're diving deep into a hidden psychological contradiction. It's one that quietly plagues millions of ambitious people just like us.
It's a totally jarring paradox, right? Why does success actually feel like failure? Think about it. You graduate at the top of your class, yet you still feel behind. You finally land that promotion you've been grinding years for, and almost instantly, you're consumed by anxiety about the next milestone. You might even achieve financial independence, but your body physically cannot relax. It's this bizarre reality where you're praised by absolutely everyone, except yourself.
Well, welcome to the curse of potential. This is a massive psychological burden carried by folks who look flawlessly successful on the outside, but are secretly just suffocating on the inside. You see, for these individuals, the tragedy isn't that they lack success, not at all. It's that success has actually become completely invisible to them. When your entire identity gets permanently glued to your potential, achievement stops feeling like a victory. It just becomes this relentless, exhausting treadmill of maintenance. Every single accomplishment just turns into the new minimum requirement to prove your worth. And every passing year, it's just another high-stakes test to see if you're living up to what you quote-unquote could have been.
Part 1. The Gifted Child Trap.
To really wrap our heads around this curse, we've got to look at where it usually kicks off. Most of us just assume that being a gifted child means having an easier life. We view raw intelligence as this massive advantage. But hidden right inside that very advantage is a dangerous psychological trap. When a kid consistently performs well, adults naturally praise their abilities. They praise the performance, the results, the raw talent. They get slapped with labels like gifted or exceptional. But standing in that incredibly bright spotlight, something absolutely vital is left in the dark: their character, their effort, and their inherent worth as a human being. So the child absorbs this unspoken, completely toxic message. Your value is conditional. It comes entirely from what you can do, not who you are. Over time, achievement morphs. It's no longer just a fun activity. It literally becomes their entire identity.
And let me tell you, that fragile identity breeds a very specific, quiet kind of terror. The thought process goes like this: if success proves my worth, what is failure proof? Now that is a terrifying question, and it's exactly what causes high-achieving kids, and eventually high-achieving adults, to actively avoid any situation where they might actually struggle. They basically become addicted to competence. They only go after things they already know they'll crush, desperately avoiding anything that might make them look average. So, instead of developing grit and resilience through trial and error, they develop a complete dependence on being impressive.
Part 2. Potential as psychological debt. We normally think of the word potential as a wonderful compliment, don't we? But psychologically speaking, it often acts as a suffocating debt. Imagine someone hands you a priceless gift, but then taps you on the shoulder every single day to remind you that you must never, ever waste it. Eventually, that gift stops feeling like freedom and really starts feeling like an enormous, heavy responsibility. Your potential becomes something you literally owe the world. And the worst part? You can never pay it off, because you aren't comparing yourself to other real people anymore. You are comparing your messy human reality to an imaginary future self. In reality, we make mistakes, we get exhausted, we lose our focus. But that flawless fictional version of you, they never procrastinate, they never waste a minute, and they have endless, boundless motivation. Because this version of you is entirely made up, it can never be surpassed. Your reality isn't actually disappointing. Your standard is just mathematically impossible.
Part 3. The Infinite Horizon.
So, what actually happens when you spend your entire life chasing a standard that doesn't exist? You end up running toward an infinite horizon. No matter how fast you sprint or how much you actually achieve, the finish line just keeps retreating further away. You genuinely believe, like really believe, that happiness is waiting for you at the very next milestone. But psychology and neuroscience tell us exactly why that sense of relief never ever lasts. It's a phenomenon known as hedonic adaptation. Basically, your brain's dopamine baseline literally resets. It's this peculiar feature of the human mind where the things we once desperately wanted become our new normal surprisingly fast. Your dream university? It just becomes the place where you go to school.
That dream job, it just becomes your boring Tuesday morning commute. The extraordinary rapidly becomes completely ordinary.
It creates this deeply frustrating loop. First, you have the dream. Then you secure the achievement, but almost instantly, that achievement becomes your new baseline, which immediately triggers the next chase. When you finally arrive at your goal, the happiness is incredibly painfully brief. Your mind just quickly creates another destination. And here is the profound realization we really need to sit with. High achievers aren't actually chasing achievement at all. They are desperately chasing completion. They're chasing that fleeting hope that maybe, just maybe, one day they will finally feel like they are enough. But completion never arrives simply because the problem was never external to begin with.
Part 4. The Achievement Addiction.
When we finally realize that the external world cannot fix an internal void, we start to see exactly how success becomes this empty promise. Because achievement only temporarily masks our deep insecurities, we enter the darkest part of this whole paradox: achievement addiction. Check and see if this sounds like you. If rest feels physically uncomfortable, if stillness feels genuinely threatening, if your weekends feel empty, taking a vacation induces deep, gnawing guilt, and doing absolutely nothing feels exactly like failure, you, my friend, are using productivity as emotional medication. You become trapped in this state of constant motion, just running on a hamster wheel to escape your own discomfort. But here's the truth: you can't outrun yourself forever.
Which brings us face to face with the one question high achievers fear more than anything else in the entire world. Who am I without my accomplishments? If your entire identity has been built on the shaky foundation of performing, achieving, and being constantly impressive, what is actually underneath all of that? This is exactly why setbacks don't just feel like a bummer. They feel like complete and total annihilation. Because if success is who you are, then failing literally means you cease to exist.
Part 5. The Liberation from Potential.
A truly healthy identity is one that can survive both success and failure. It absolutely must exist independently of your performance, because eventually, no matter who you are, every achievement loses its power to define you. And the sooner we understand this, the sooner we can step into true liberation. Just because you could do something extraordinary does not mean you must. Let that sink in. What if your potential was never a binding contract? What if it was never a massive debt you owed to society? What if it is, simply, a possibility? Possibility does not demand constant optimization. You do not owe the world perfection, and you certainly don't owe anyone the most ruthlessly optimized version of yourself.
The absolute greatest freedom you will ever experience comes when you finally stop treating yourself like an endless renovation project that has to be completed. Your value isn't hiding out there somewhere in the future. It's not magically locked behind your next promotion or your next big win.
You are a human being. You're a person. And your value exists right now, in this exact moment, entirely independent of your status, your output, or your performance. You know, one day, you might actually achieve that massive goal you currently dream about. And when you do, you're going to discover that the achievement itself was never the actual destination. The destination was peace. And peace cannot be found in some hyper-productive, imaginary future version of yourself. It can only be found by fully accepting the person you are today. The greatest tragedy in life isn't failing to reach your potential. It's spending your whole life believing your worth depends on it.
Potential isn't a debt. It isn't a measure of your value. It has always just been a possibility. Your value has always belonged to you. So ask yourself, if your value never depended on possibilities, what are you really running toward?